This week in games, classic Call of Duty games are back and better than ever. Square Enix shares their Final Fantasy 16 updates, and Microsoft retires Xbox Live Gold. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 157. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hey, how you doing?
Connor, I'm back. Hi. I was on vacation for a week. Me and my lovely girlfriend, Nicole, we went up to Chicago to go visit my parents for just a quick little summer vacay to finish off our summer vacation and so forth. And it was a lovely time. You and Phil held it down over here on the 3-year anniversary of the podcast. Sorry, I missed that. Totally just blanked on that. We knew it was coming up too, but just the way plans fell together, I just couldn't be here. So thank you so much for holding that down. It was a great episode. Everybody should go watch that and check that out. It's rare where we get to see Phil kind of talk about more industry side of things. So that was kind of neat to see from him.
Usually he just never shuts up about Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh my God, this guy. This
Jack and Daxter as well.
God, this child in a man's body. Jack and Daxter and Kingdom Hearts 2. Hey, Phil, come out of the year 2004 real quick for me and join us in current times, in the good times.
You know, Tavin, last week it was a episode of me and him clowning on you. And now it's kind of come full circle. Of course, I don't get clowned on because I am the
sure. Never happens. Never happens. Yeah. With your 17th playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines or whatever.
I've only played that once.
Well,
I just act like I played it 17 times.
For real. There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the new news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Ring off in the comments and on social media about 2 pennies you would like to bring to the table of your own, and we'll talk about it next week. We'd love to get some viewer input and just conversation pieces going. Don't say no, Connor. We want the people to talk to us. We want them to talk to us. Talk to us, please. There we go. But for now, you can catch this podcast every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Just look up the Two Penny Games Cast. You can also watch us live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time, where we record all of our podcasts over at twitch.tv/2pennygames. And live every Monday, Phil goes live with some gameplay stuff, so you can see some gamers have some real gaming moments and all of that good stuff. Things live on the channel right now are Yakuza 0 review, our Final Fantasy 16 review, and what's another fun video that we've had out recently?
That's it. We don't have.
That's it. Those are the fun ones. Go check those out. There we go. Connor, let's get into it. Let's jump into our first topic of the day. My first penny of the day. Call of Duty games are back. Old Call of Duty games are back. We're pulling an IGN article from Wesley Yenpool. Here we go. Bada boom. Xbox 360 Call of Duty classics shoot to the top of top paid games lists. Classic Call of Duty games have shot up Xbox's top paid games list, fueled by recent improvements to matchmaking and an eye-catching sale. 2009's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is currently the top paid game on Xbox, followed by 2012's Black Ops 2, 2010's Black Ops, 2011's Modern Warfare 3, Treyarch's World at War, and Black Ops 3 are also in the top 10. These older Call of Duty games are outselling big hitters such as Red Dead Redemption 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Elden Ring, and even last year's Modern Warfare 2. It's a remarkable resurgence for a collection of games once thought consigned to the history books, but recent developments have rekindled interest in this golden age of Call of Duty, fueled by apparent matchmaking improvements made by Microsoft itself. Reports indicate thousands of players were online over the weekend playing these old Call of Duty games after word of surprise server fixes spread amongst the community like wildfire. However, reports also indicate lobbies are still afflicted by hackers, boosters, and cheaters. Interestingly, alongside the supposed Microsoft effort to sort of to sort out old school Call of Duty came a sweeping sale targeting many of the games. Microsoft and Activision have yet to comment on what's happening, and the radio silence is fueling speculation. Both companies are preparing to drop the Call of Duty back catalog on Game Pass. Well, this is exciting. Everything old is new again. Also saw on Twitter today that it looks like the Gears of War trilogy, the original Gears of War trilogy, those servers are also coming back online. So I think Microsoft is doing what they do best, and that's, create a very user-friendly, compatible environment for all of their games and such. And it's just kind of cool to see, love spread to this sort of era in gaming and this type of multiplayer game that we just don't see anymore, where it's just tried and true mechanics, matchmaking, go jump in, have fun with friends, progress in the normal leveling up. No battle passes, no microtransactions, none of this like predatory monetary, tactics. It's all just classic Call of Duty gaming. And I think it's something that the community has clearly been aching for a while now.
Yeah, one of the things that I played fairly recently was Zombies mode in the game World at War, because I had a lot of fun with that, and it's on Steam. I was like, okay, might as well hop back at it and play it. Still very fun, but one of the things that I decided to play was the multiplayer, since I also remember having a lot of fondness for that. And I found myself having lots of fun when I wasn't dealing with hackers, boosters, and all of the stupid way they do servers, at least on PC, where they have to basically custom games that people set parameters on, and they just weren't as fun as the original way to do it. And it even though it wasn't as good as it once was, it reminded me of how good it was at the time. And I thought those days were gone, but apparently there's movement to make them more viable nowadays. I don't know if...
Time to bust out that Xbox One, Connor, and jump into some classic Call of Duty games.
Will they be doing this in the future, to support it, though? That's my question. There's money to be made there, so from a monetary perspective, I could see them doing it, because people would go back to these old games. They're fun. Modern Warfare 2 itself has so much love. It's considered one of the best Modern Warfare games, mainly because of its multiplayer. People played that all the time. And if it didn't have a resurgence, I'll be playing it. It'd be nice to go back to Favela, use the FAMAS, take people out with those three-burst shots.
Classic stuff.
It was just a fun game, and it's cool that it's coming back in at least some form.
Well, to your point, I don't think we're not going to see any other support on this. It's just the fact that the servers are back online, and big props to Microsoft for doing it. It seems like they did all the legwork here to get these games working again. I'm sure all of those games will be dropping on Game Pass and through backwards compatibility, which is another, the foresight of Xbox to recognize that gamers wanted this and to put in the legwork to get it to work. Because if you'll remember, Xbox 360 to Xbox One, it was not supposed to, it launched without backwards compatibility, and it wasn't supposed to happen. They said it can't, it doesn't work. It's just not a thing. And they, those masterminds over at Microsoft, they figured out the engineering, they figured out whatever weird behind the scenes black magic that they had to do to get those games to work, and they got it to work. And without even buying a new piece of hardware, they just download an update. That was so impressive back in the day, and that move has just paid off in spades. Xbox's continued focus on backwards compatibility, on Game Pass, on user-friendly services just continues to pay off again and again and again. It's probably a nice chunk of change that they got from these Call of Duty games, because they get a portion of that revenue, and just think of there are gamers out there that will subscribe to Game Pass when this acquisition goes through just for these Call of Duty games, just for that nostalgia hit, just to play these old games that they played when they were, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years of old, and they just want to go back to a time that they reminisce on in a time where gaming was, I'm not going to say in a better place, but was probably in a more fondly thought of place than it is right now. I think we're getting better games now than we've ever gotten before, but sort of just the business around it feels very dirty and very scummy. And this has always been sort of a thing. I remember when DLC first started popping off and everyone was saying DLC is gross and disgusting. Now it's microtransactions and battle passes and so forth. And, in another 10 years, it'll be something else. But it's just nice to see just this sort of like good time story, this good time feeling happen with all this, and I'm constantly just excited to see what Xbox is going to do next.
Yeah, but one thing of this story that annoys me, because I always just wonder who hacks, boosts, and cheats in games, and much less who does it for old games. Like, what do you get out of it? What kind of life
How
do
is
you
that?
live?
How is that fun? I just don't
Yeah, I
understand.
don't get it.
Yeah.
It makes no
Well,
sense at all.
I think the studies show that like most people who hack and boost are just people who believe everybody hacks. So they're like, well, if everybody's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And to you, man, no, like you're the ones making it worse. Just be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, the last time I remember having a desire to be a hacker was when I was like 12 years old. So grow up.
Yeah, literally.
Me and him.
But Connor, are you gonna bust out your old Xbox One? You jump into some old Modern Warfare games or Black Ops maybe or anything like that?
I might. I'm interested to see if it comes to PC because that'd be way more convenient for me. But
I mean, I doubt it
might.
until this acquisition stuff goes through. Well, did those games ever come to
Yeah.
PC?
Modern Warfare 2 is on PC. World at War is on PC.
Well, I mean, you can still play those. Those servers never went offline, but like you said, like the player base dwindled and so forth. Like this is cool because it's just on the Xbox ecosystem of everybody jumping in and playing and having fun and stuff. So
Yeah.
good on Xbox, good on Microsoft, good on Activision. Everybody wins here.
Well,
Moving on to our second topic of the day, another Xbox story, this time from Windows Central by Jez Corden. This is an interesting one, and this is my second penny of the day, our second topic of the day. Microsoft ends Xbox Live Gold forever. Say hello to Xbox Game Pass Core. Xbox Game Pass Core is replacing Xbox Live Gold after many years, but you shouldn't be worried. Here's why and when the change is happening. Here's what you need to know. Microsoft is ending Xbox Live Gold branding and replacing it with Xbox Game Pass Core. Xbox Game Pass Core is needed to access Xbox and network multiplayer on the console, but it brings new benefits. Game Pass Core, the same as Xbox Live Gold, and all current users will be... I'm sorry, let me say that again. Xbox Game Pass Core costs the same as Xbox Live Gold, and all current users will be converted to the new service. This new service also offers a small library of curated Xbox Game Pass titles, including Forza Horizon 4, Doom Eternal, and more. Xbox Games with Gold service shuts down on September 1st. And then to get into more of the details, it will cost the same as Xbox Live Gold, making it $9.99 per month or $59.99 per year, and will come with many extra benefits over Xbox Live Gold, including access to a smaller curated pool of 25, quote, high-quality Xbox games. The full list of Xbox Game Pass games we have right now is as follows. Among Us, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Grounded, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Psychonauts 2, State of Decay 2, and The Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited. Microsoft says this games list will expand in the coming months.
this just seems pretty good.
Yeah, this is interesting. Just a sort of smaller version of Xbox Game Pass. I think this is, in terms of, in direct comparison to the PlayStation side of things with PlayStation Plus Essential, which continues to have your monthly PlayStation Plus games and your network and capabilities and so forth. I think I would personally prefer this more. 25 curated games. The list will grow. The list will change over time. I think that's more interesting and better for first-time owners of an Xbox console to jump into this, as opposed to having this slowly ever-growing library of semi-quality games. And I've also been hearing from the Xbox crowd that the games they're getting with Xbox Live Gold have not been super quality games for a while.
Yeah.
It's been pretty diminished in what they've been doing. Whereas on the PlayStation Plus side, those 2 games a month are usually pretty quality games. It varies from month to month. Sometimes you have stinkers, but sometimes you have bangers of months. Like a God of War will show up every once in a while, and you're like, oh, this is a phenomenal game to have for quote unquote free. my question is, this list of curated games as of right now is weird to me. Some of these make sense. Among Us, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, all those kind of make sense to me. Forza Horizon 4, but not 5. That or Forza the last Forza game to come out. I forget which one that was. That's interesting to me. Halo 5 Guardians, but not Halo Infinite. I understand Halo Infinite multiplayer is free, but why not get that campaign? Why not get the new stuff? Why this old stuff? No Halo Master Chief Collection. Just Halo 5 Guardians and Halo Wars 2. That's a little strange to me. The rest of them, I think, are pretty solid games. You look at, Doom and Gears and Hellblade. Those are solid games. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That's a great game. So not a bad list at all, but just a weird list, I think.
Yeah, I could see people playing these games, so
for sure.
It makes sense in that way. I don't know if it's just, I do know. It's because I've been out of the loop for all of these, subscription services on your Xbox and your PlayStation, but it always does just seem so confusing. Obviously, this is pretty simple, but that's only because we read the article. When you just look at this from a cursory glance, you're just like, what? What's the difference?
Yeah.
And it's not really that much of a difference, but it just gets so complicated. And when you have Xbox Live, you have Xbox Games Pass as well, different tiers there. It got especially confusing over on PlayStation with all the tier systems they have. I cannot remember them off the top of my head.
Oh, God.
Even when we were looking at a list, we were like, okay, we had to analyze, there's the difference between these two things. It's very complicated, but complications aside, from what we're seeing in this article, it just seems better. Just kind of rebranding themselves more than anything else to something different. Because Xbox Live Gold has been around since I played Xbox 360 back in the day. So I guess it had to end sometime. It's ending now.
Yeah. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get... So, as of right now, Xbox Game Pass has the different SKUs being Core, Console, PC, and Ultimate. Obviously, if you're a console player, you'll either subscribe to Core, Console, or Ultimate. And if you're a PC player, you just kind of have PC or I think Ultimate. So, you have pretty much 2 to 3 SKUs depending on what platform you're on. Core being $10 a month, Console being $11 a month, which is also weird. If you're just going to have... is $1 more a month going to break the bank? So, why would you even go for the core stuff? That's weird to me. And then instead of, your 25 games, you get hundreds of titles with the console version. So that seems kind of strange to me. PC, still $10 a month. And then Ultimate is $17 a month, $16.99 to be specific. And that's US. You can look up your own personal thing. And then Ultimate, of course, giving you the hundreds of games on Xbox Game Pass, new games on day one, member deals, discounts, and perks, online console multiplayer, and EA Play membership. So all the EA games are up on the Ultimate side of things as well. In terms of the two different main platforms between PlayStation and Xbox, I think getting rid of Xbox Live Gold has been long overdue. It needed to go away a long time ago. We needed to merge these together forever ago. I think it's kind of strange that they've put this at obviously the same price. Okay, sure. But I feel like you could have reduced that price. You would have had an opportunity to be like, hey, if you're not a Game Pass subscriber, you are moving to Game Pass Core, but we're going to reduce your price. And to just sort of justify the difference in cost between those two things. Now, maybe this means the console tier is going to go up soon, maybe to $15 a month or so forth. This has been teased by Phil Spencer that things are going to go up. And so maybe, console version and Ultimate version will go up to $15 and $20 a month or something like that, which I wouldn't be mad at because Game Pass is still the best deal in gaming right now.
Yeah. That's why I have it. That's why you have it. That's why Phil has it.
100%.
Good little system.
It's
thing
fantastic.
I will say in addition to all of this, just because I can't not talk about it. We can't not talk about it. Very quick, because I'm sick of talking about this. There was an extension of the merger between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, which was supposed to expire, or there was supposed to be an agreement reached July 18th, I believe the date was.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, and now it's October 18th. So gives months. That's how months work.
Yes, it gives us months. It gives us about 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So October 18th, they should be coming to the conclusion. Thank God.
Also worth noting that Xbox has struck a deal with PlayStation to bring Call of Duty to PlayStation consoles for the next 10 years.
Yep.
So,
So things are finally wrapping up.
interesting that they said Call of Duty titles, not Activision Blizzard titles.
That's too much of a high promise.
Too much of a high promise. That Diablo 5 is and Overwatch 3, if they even make one of those. That's going to be an Xbox exclusive, mock my words right now. But
Yeah,
Call of Duty will be everywhere
Overwatch.
for a little while.
What'd you say about Overwatch?
Exactly. What is that game? I don't even know. Also worth noting, I think this is still clearer and makes more sense than the PlayStation Plus SKUs, which are very confusing and entangled, and just the way that they place games in different tiers doesn't make any sense. But, you know, it is what it is. This makes so much more sense to me. Like, even just at a passing glance, you go, oh, okay, I can get this, that, or the third. But you are right. It's still like, if you're loading it up for the first time and they're like, hey, here's all your different payment plans, you go, what? I thought I was just playing video games. What's happening here?
Never that simple.
Never that simple. Connor, moving on to our third topic of the day. Hold on here. Let me get my thing, my page set correctly. 48. There we go. Moving on to our third topic of the day. Overwatch 2 IGN. This is your penny. Go ahead and take it away for me, my friend.
Yes, IGN from Taylor Lyles. Overwatch 2 engagement and player investment is declining, Activision Blizzard admits. Overwatch 2's engagement and player investment is declining, the game publisher's Activision Blizzard admits. In its Q2 2023 earnings report, Activision Blizzard revealed its free-to-play shooter has declined sequentially this quarter. However, it thinks the game's next major update, Overwatch 2 Invasion, which releases next month, should help circumvent the issue. While engagement and player investment in Overwatch 2 declined sequentially in the quarter, the Overwatch team is looking forward to the August 10th release of Overwatch 2 Invasion, the publisher wrote in its earnings report. This will be the largest seasonal update yet, planned to include new PvE story missions, a new game mode, and a new hero progression system, as well as an additional hero. Overwatch 2 Invasion will introduce the next batch of story missions and is part of the 6th season of the team-based shooter. Last month, Blizzard confirmed the next batch of PvE missions will be locked behind a paywall, costing $15. Additionally, Blizzard confirmed earlier this month that it is likely Overwatch 2 will not get new story missions for at least the next 2 seasons after the release of Invasion. Overwatch 2 launched October 2022 as a free download and got off to a strong start, with over 35 million people playing in the first month. In our review of Overwatch 2, we gave an 8 out of 10. My colleague Simone Cardi wrote that Overwatch 2 breathes new life into what was once the sharpest multiplayer shooter around before it had its edges severely dulled by Blizzard's attention shifting away. But Overwatch 2 has endured a number of controversies since, none more potent than the cancellation of its long-awaited PvE hero mode, the one feature that justified the sequel's existence. Well, this has been a long time coming. They finally admitted what we kind of were all seeing on the walls. People have not been happy with Overwatch. Some of our close friends have not played it. They have not picked it up in a while. You know how Glenn and Fergus, friends of the channel, they loved Overwatch. And they even played it going into Overwatch 2 and when it was, not as good as it once was. But even they've abandoned ship for now because Activision Blizzard just really has mismanaged it in every way they possibly could. It's kind of astonishing to see this game that won 2016 Game of the Year come to this. And just because of mismanagement. Not because people got bored, not because the gameplay just didn't hit anymore. Just decisions that the management made that nobody likes. It's very pathetic.
Yeah. That core gameplay loop still works.
It does.
It's still fun. And it's just so unfortunate that just everything around the game is just not working for us anymore. And I really do hope for the best for it, for the fans and for the devs and for all that. And I really do hope that maybe this Invasion update will bring back some goodwill to the game of Overwatch 2, but I just don't think it will. Realistically, sure, you'll have a pop, some hardcore players will come back and your player attention will come back for a little bit, but it'll probably wane again quite quickly after that. I don't see these PvE story missions popping off, these $15 little expansion packs or whatever. I don't see those working out at all. And then it turns into a thing of like, well, the first 2 or 3 of these things didn't hit, nobody bought them, or not enough players bought them. And so what's the point of continuing to dump resources into that when we could start moving them on to something else, a different type of content. We could, move into different type of events type development, or just developing a new game, whether that be an Overwatch 3 or whether that be excuse me, or whether that just be a new game in its entirety, or just shut the whole thing down. I don't see a clear way out for Overwatch 2. Not saying it can't happen. There's still plenty, like we've seen it plenty of times with games with much worse fanfare around it. You look at your No Man's Skies, you look at your Fallout 76s, you look at your Cyberpunk 2077s, which came out and totally got destroyed by everyone, and everyone hated it. Nobody hates Overwatch 2. We just hate how it's being managed. That's the only thing about it. And hopefully they're going to be able to turn it around. But it's a steep hill to climb. And, for every example of, games that have turned around and made it work and got better, there's also another example of games that didn't work and failed and were forced to close down eventually, whether you look at your Anthems or your Avengers or anything like of those.
One thing that also just, it's weird that they're not gonna do it for at least the next 2 seasons. These invasion story missions, these are ones that you want to continuously put out to make people want to keep playing them, because it's not going to be like the multiplayer games that have longevity.
I'm sorry. So, wait, run this back for me. I don't understand. What do you mean?
Yes. So last month, Blizzard confirmed the next batch of PvE missions will be locked behind a paywall, costing $15. Additionally, Blizzard confirmed earlier this month that it is likely Overwatch 2 will not get new story missions for at least the next 2 seasons after the release of Invasion.
Wow.
It's strange. Wow. Very strange.
And and see, this is to my point of like, we're gonna get the Invasion. Maybe some people will pay $15 for it, or a good amount of people, but then it'll be 2 seasons. And people are going to forget about it, and you bring that next one around, and how many people are going to go for that one? Like, it just doesn't seem like a steady stream of content to justify, 1, the price of these expansions, and 2, attention or excitement towards it. It feels like these are going to get headlines on IGN for a week, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, it's their new thing that they got going on, but I don't really care. I either A, moved on, or B, just kind of play the core Overwatch 2 experience.
What a failure.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because Overwatch had everybody. Nobody could look the other way from Overwatch. It really did. It changed the game in a lot of really cool ways. And it was exciting. And now it's just a train wreck that we can't stop watching. But
I definitely can.
Hopefully we'll figure our way around it.
Blizzard might have Microsoft come in and change things, but like you said, we'll have to see if they do.
You had that the other way around. You meant Microsoft will have Blizzard change things.
Microsoft, yeah.
Connor, moving on to our final topic of the day, your second penny. Take it away, my friend.
So we got an IGN article once again, this time from Wesley Yinpool. Square Enix responds to Final Fantasy XVI sales concern, points to PS5 install base. Square Enix has insisted sales of Final Fantasy XVI are extremely strong, telling IGN the game has sold well relative to the PlayStation 5 install base. The PS5 exclusive sold 3 million copies during launch week, a figure that sparked a debate online about whether it had met Square Enix's sales target. Final Fantasy VII Remake shifted 3.5 million copies in 3 days when it launched as a PlayStation 4 exclusive in April 2020. Final Fantasy XV sold 5 million units in its first day, but that game launched on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in November 2016, and it remains the fastest-selling game in the history of the series. The debate was fueled by a Bloomberg article that pointed out sales of the game in Japan had dropped dramatically in the second week after launch. That initial sales had lagged behind previous games in the long-running role-playing series, and Square Enix itself was grappling with weak momentum on its flagship franchise. In a statement from Square Enix issued exclusively to IGN, the company pointed to the difference in install base between the PS4 when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out and the install base of the PS5 when Final Fantasy XVI launched last month. With 38 million PS5 consoles shipped globally as of March 31st, 2023. Sales of Final Fantasy XVI surpassed 3 million units worldwide several days after its release on June 22nd, 2023, Square Enix said. Taking into consideration the sales figures of the acclaimed Final Fantasy VII Remake and the difference in the size of the install base of the PlayStation 4 at the time of this title's release, we can see that the attach rate of Final Fantasy XVI is considerably high given the PS5 install base. Square Enix considers the initial sales results of Final Fantasy XVI to be extremely strong, and we will continue to carry out a wide range of initiatives to encourage even more people to play the game. Square Enix is infamous for its wildly inflated sales expectations, with everything from Tomb Raider to Hitman considered failures internally despite selling millions of copies. IGN sources familiar with the performance of Final Fantasy XVI confirmed sales had slowed considerably since launch, but that the game was not yet considered the disaster some claimed it to be. One source pointed to recent comments from producer Naoki Yoshida that DLC may be on the horizon, and thus further investment in development time as a key indicator Final Fantasy XVI may have legs. Final Fantasy XVI divided fans by leaving behind the role-playing features prevalent in previous entries for a more gritty, action-oriented experience inspired by the Game of Thrones.
And then we can,
So-
and really, I think that's really the crux of the issue, right? If you even want to call it an issue. One, I think they're spot on. Like, hey, there's just not that many. There's not as many PlayStation 5s out as there were PlayStation 4s at the time of release for the last two Final Fantasy games, and also Final Fantasy 15 being multi-platform is of course going to help. Your numbers are going to go up, if more players have the chance to buy your game. The thing that is concerning for me is that sales are faltering in Japan. That tells me that they're in their attempt to garner more attention from the West. They've started losing some attention from the East. A lot of gamers out in Japan are just not interested in playing a game like this. And I don't blame them. Because, we have our review for Final Fantasy 16. Connor, you were very high on it. And you were our lead reviewer. I've played a few hours, and I've played even more since our review. And I think the game is good. Got a great story, really interesting narrative. But I think its gameplay is boring, especially in comparison to titles such as Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I still think is like the ultimate version of an action RPG. But there, by no means is there any cause for worry about this. I think Final Fantasy 16 is selling well. I think it's selling probably, honestly, about what Square Enix's
range is.
Not range. What is the word when you're like their expectations, or their margins or whatever? I'm forgetting the exact word. Their sort of prediction of where this game was going to sell. I imagine it's probably hitting it right on the head. Maybe a little bit better than they were expecting, but it's probably right where they expected it to be. So,
and in a way, I'm kind of happy it's not getting as much like it's kind of losing a little bit of players in Japan, and also not getting as many sales because of only being on one platform. So maybe with subsequent games, not only would they only see this as kind of okay, we tried it, we wanted to do it, it was good, but now we'll go back to the more RPG elements of the game, and maybe we'll push more for a multi-platform game. I hope that's kind of what they take away from this, but I don't think they will.
I don't think so. Square Enix has been so in the camp of PlayStation and clearly been prepping themselves for sale for quite a while now. Especially when they sold off their Western studios to like Embracer Group and the likes. I think very clearly, Square Enix is looking to be a PlayStation studio of some kind. It's just a matter of time, and then also all this Activision Blizzard stuff has been delaying any type of conversation about that. But I do hope that I think they hear us, or they hear the fans of the RPG side, and they want deeper systems than what's going on here. So maybe we can find a nice middle ground that we've yet to find. I thought 7 Remake was that, but they wanted to take it even further with 16. And hey, I'm totally cool with experimenting and seeing how far you can push a game and how much evolution you can take a franchise, and totally cool with that. I think we've gone a little too far. I'd like to pull it back a little bit more and have some deeper combat systems and some actual RPG mechanics going on. But in no way or fashion is Final Fantasy 16 a bad game. Obviously, you can look at the review scores; they're all great. You can look at these sales; they're good. I think Square Enix at the end of the day will see this as a overwhelming success.
I hope so as well.
Yeah. ladies and gentlemen, that is actually going to be it for your new episode of the Two Penny Gamescast. A bit of a shorter one this week.
Yeah.
We
No
just
review.
got through it real quick, and we don't have a review this week. We actually don't think we have a review for a couple of weeks until we get to our Shadow of the Colossus review, which will be at the beginning of, this is July, so what is that, August? Yes, August 7th will be our review for Shadow of the Colossus for our Two Penny Game Club. So make sure you keep an eye out for that episode. I'm very excited to talk to you, Connor, and our good buddy Phil about that and see where our opinions lie on it. I'm very curious to see where our opinions lie about Shadow of the Colossus. But that is going to be it for this week's episode 157. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember, you can get this podcast every week, Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Just look up 2 Penny Gamescast. Ring off in the comments what 2 pennies you want to bring to the table and what you want us to talk about, whether it's a conversation topic, just a general question you have, or a news story that we just didn't have time to cover in our work this week. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Bye.